Hello everyone, and welcome back to CEO Diaries. I can see we are live now on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. Slightly late with a technical issue, but here we are now, and I'm very excited to be back and for today's topic, which is maximizing profitability in your business. So my name's Lauren Dallas. I'm CEO of Future Females. We, as most of you know, are a community and platform that supports female founders to grow more profitable and scalable businesses, which is why today's topic is so exciting. It's something that strategically I spend a lot of time thinking about optimizing for. And so I'd love to share with you probably 5 main buckets of how we think and work on boosting profitability in our own business. So before I get stuck in, I can see people are now live with me from all different channels. So please let me know, say hi, and let me know where you're joining from in the world. Future Females is in 56 cities, so we always have a really good and diverse group of women joining us. And then secondly, please do comment and ask your questions and share your experiences as I go through this topic. Firstly, it's more fun. Secondly, we have a prize. So whoever shares a reflection or asks, a value-based question, I'm going to pick at the end of this session, which will be in 25 minutes, someone to win our Level Up Launch Library. This is a package of programs that is going to help you launch either your new business or your product and service, your most profitable product and service, which is the process we'll chat through today, in your current business. And all you need to do is literally comment. Perfect. So the intention of CEO Diaries is always to really just have a raw sharing session, to go behind the gloss that we so often see on social media where businesses are marketing their services, and share as authentically as possible the journey that I go through and have gone through as co-founder and as CEO of my business and the 3 businesses actually that I run. So that's what this is, and I'll just have as much of a discussion as possible with you. Cool. So I think the topic maximizing profitability is an exciting one for me. I think it's often something that we can not gloss over, but the money side of the business is something that I often see when I start working with our members' businesses needs further interrogation. Sometimes the numbers are not being checked because of fear. Sometimes it's not our natural inclination. We're more comfortable in the creative side of the business. And sometimes it's just not necessarily understanding, like once you've got your numbers, how do you then change things and what levers do you pull to keep the business moving forwards? For me, it was a bit of a learning curve in my first business, really mastering, and I studied accounting at college. I studied macroeconomics and microeconomics, but none of that prepared me for the really tactical, agile way that I see profit tracking and lever pulling working for early stage startups, right? We often, in big businesses, we're basing our forecasts on historicals. For much smaller businesses, we often don't have like really trusted or any historicals to base our decisions on. So it's a bit of an art and a science. But what I do know and what I have learned is that having a regular cadence of profit interrogation, I call it, is really important for your business. I do this monthly. So I do our budget, I do our forecasts, and then I present them to my co-founder. That kind of accountability really helps us make sure that we never let it slip and that we're making decisions together. If it's just you and your business, this might be something that you want to find a mentor who can support you with, or even if not, set up time with yourself or maybe with your partner to go through it. It's helpful to kind of bounce your insights and the solutions you come up with off the back of that off someone else, or off a coach like we offer here at Future Females for our members. So when I do these monthly reviews, we are typically looking at, I'm just going to open my notes here. We're looking at 4 key things. So I'll tell you what they are, and then we'll go into each one of those. The first one is looking at the pricing strategy. Actually, no, I think I'll start with the product. The first one is looking at your product offering. So most businesses don't just have a single product. And even if you do, it's important to think about what could you offer kind of up the staircase or down the staircase. And I use that terminology. What we do is map out kind of a profit staircase where we have our freebies on the bottom step, our entry offers on the step above, and then we have everything up to our really high ticket offers from there. Reason we think about it like this is often we're just spending all of our time thinking about how to get the next sale from a new person, as opposed to also thinking about how to take a customer who's bought from us once through the journey and up our different offerings. So I guess taking a step back, if you don't have that profit strategy in place and that visual almost that I've just described, I would recommend starting there. It's quite a useful model that you'll then have of your own business to be able to play with and track against. So we have that now. And so what we do in this monthly rhythm of meetings is always start with our product offering. So we look at, of all of the products we have, which ones are getting traffic, which ones are getting sales, what's the conversion rate, meaning how many of the people that see the product are actually buying, because that gives us a sense for the demand of each product. And how much revenue did that equate to for us at the bottom line? This might sound so obvious, but often we look at our business in a rolled up way, where we go, great, we're making this much revenue, like keep pushing. But what this helps you do is decide what to keep pushing. I'll give you an example. I run a Facebook and Instagram advertising course. It's $200. And we previously offered it as launches. We then also had an $849 course, our Future Females Business School. So and this was before we offered our membership. Now you can get the Facebook and Instagram ad program free inside our platform. So if you do want support there, all you need to do is click through and become a member and you'll get all of that included. But we had these two offerings and we were putting 80% of our energy into building our 3-month $849 accelerator, because it's just what we did. And it's the product that we were standing behind and the team had been built around and the systems. The $200 Facebook and Instagram ad program was something we kind of fit in between launches when we didn't have something else that we were speaking about, and because I enjoyed running it. What we realized was our profit on the Facebook and Instagram ad course was 1 to 3. So we'd spend $1 and we'd make $3 back. The profit on our 3-month course was 1 to 2, basically, slightly over. So we'd put in $1 and we'd make around $2.20. So when we looked at it at the bottom line, it was really interesting to question why was the strategy to push the less profitable product? And there was a lot of things that came into that, right? The brand was more exciting. The offer we were more emotionally attached to. The impact we were seeing was also like what we wanted for our community. But the numbers at the bottom line were telling us to push the Facebook ad course. The second interesting thing that came up for us that you can do once you start tracking this is we looked at who was buying the $849 course and who was buying our $4,000 offering, which is the course I run specifically with course creators. Most of the people had already bought our Facebook ad course. So actually, if we created our perfect pathway, someone would often buy the ad course as their entry point into Future Females or into working with me directly before they felt confident to commit to a 3-month course or to a $4,000 one. So your product suite will look quite different, but this is why I love interrogating this and looking at like, where are the sales coming? What is the specific profit? And I use that ratio. Some people use like ROI. I like using the ratio, like literally $1 spent, including your advertising budget, including your employees, including your tech subscriptions. How much are you getting back? And we at Future Females always aim for a 1 to 3. And then once you've got that, obviously looking at where are those customers coming from? Are they actually new to your business? Or is there like a nice pathway through your different products that could be built into an automated system for you? For example, what we then did was after people had graduate from the ad course, we would straight away offer them, Great, now you've done this. What about doing our next level course where you can build out the next step, build your email marketing and your sales and your finance function and your ops? Okay, so that's the first thing. And as you can probably hear, one of, I think, the most exciting things about starting to interrogate where your profit comes from, because you really see the money on the table, what the demand is for the different offerings you have. It can also allow you to do less, right? Because you might identify a product that you love, but no one's buying. And maybe you're putting a lot of energy into creating content around it and sales, but actually you don't need to. You could rather just focus all of that on a different piece of your business. Okay, so that's the first strategy. I'm just seeing a couple of comments come in here. Elizabeth, can't hear and speak because you need someone to help you with sign language. Shame, Elizabeth. So this doesn't have automated captions on this just because it's live, but Future Females does offer a lot of courses in our platform, which you can add captions to at any speed. So yeah, so I hope that helps. We do really think it's important to make as much of our content accessible as possible. If you watch this later on Facebook too, we can also add the captions there. But let me know if you have any questions as I go through. Okay, cool. So the second thing, once we've looked at our products, is pricing. And in that, I would also include promotions, right? We're often discounting or adding also additional bonuses that have a financial impact. One of the quite interesting conversations I've had. Oh, good. And Andy, you have captions on Facebook now. Perfect. So yeah, Elizabeth, if you want to jump from LinkedIn over to our Facebook page, it's also Future Females. You can watch now with the captions on. Thank you. Cool. So the second thing is then pricing strategy. And pricing is so interesting because there's never like a fixed ideal price of what your product should be offered at. It is entirely based on perception of value from your target audience and benchmarking against similar comparative offerings in the market. And so I think it's one of those places that it's easy to get stuck, right? Is there money left on the table, or would I sell more if I did decrease the price slightly? The only way that I've ever been able to answer this question with any confidence is through A/B testing. So literally, if you're not sure, should I offer my high ticket at $4,000 or $5,000? I've done an exact same launch with the product offered at both prices. And I learned that actually for me, the 4,000 makes more sense for my audience and the offer. But similarly, we've increased prices through those tests on other things. So when we're doing our monthly check-ins, we're also interrogating that. Are there pricings in there that maybe could change? One of the ways we do this is looking at our sales volumes, obviously, and our conversions. If we're getting a really good conversion on a product, potentially we could test increasing that slightly and track that conversion. Because ideally, you want to figure out the maximum price you can offer it that's not going to decrease people wanting to buy it, right? That's obvious, which requires tracking. So we will rarely do more than one test on this a quarter, but it is always something to be interested in. The second interesting pricing conversation I've had that won't be relevant to everyone, but for people who have a sales team. So we're building up a sales team in-house at Future Females. We've had business development managers for a while. What we haven't had were closers who close the deals on calls. I've always done that. So as we're recruiting this, I'm working on what is a good commission for a salesperson. And if you've thought about closers for your business, it's probably something that's come up. The guidance that I've been getting, which has been so valuable, is that typically a closer will want to make, depending on their market, but let's say like $10,000 a month. So what they will do is look at your product price, the volume of calls they can do, their expected closing percentage, and figure out, can they make the salary they need from selling your offering? The feedback that I got was that it would be very hard to bring a high quality closer into my business to sell the products I have that are between like $800 and $4,000 because they literally couldn't take enough sales calls at a benchmark conversion to earn the salary they needed. And that actually, to bring top talent in, I needed to think about even having a higher priced offering with obviously more value for a more affluent audience. So that was quite interesting because I've been trying to hire closers for a while and not fully understanding why it hadn't been working. And so, yeah, I share that because it feeds into pricing strategy as well. As much as you can tweak the price on your current offers, thinking strategically about, could you add something on? Could you add another lower ticket offer to convert more of your audience that isn't buying? You know, something that's no risk. At Future Females, for example, we have a $7 product. Or if you're trying to attract higher talent or you're trying to retain your top clients, can you add something onto the end of your product offering that's even more expensive? So that's the second thing. And probably where I've been spending the most of my headspace in the last week is on that second piece, the pricing strategy. The third thing when it comes to profit, and the fourth, is obviously increasing revenue and decreasing cost. Obvious, because that's what profit is, right? It's the difference between your revenue and your costs. So I'm going to start with revenue and a couple of the things that we've been thinking about and that I've already started touching on. So often when we think about increasing revenue, we think about doing more marketing and more sales, right? And let me know your feedback in the captions. Actually, let me know what you've been working on to maximize your profitability, because I'd love to reflect on that in a second as well. And that is exactly what you need to do, right? To reach new customers, to turn them from strangers into people who are prospects, into qualified leads, into actual paying customers. So it's always important to have that funnel ticking over, which for most businesses looks like consistent organic content. I would suggest paid ads to amplify the effort you're putting into that content, and then either emails or phone calls to convert, right? That's a typical customer journey. What I don't see enough people spending time on is retention. So once someone has already bought from you, it is much easier to sell to them again, assuming you've delivered a quality service or product, than to keep acquiring new. Sorry, one second. Sorry, I was choking on myself. What was I saying? Yes, there's a benchmark that says it costs 3 times as much. Obviously, this is not industry. I'm crying now. Fully on CEO Diaries. If anyone's watching us, they're going to think I'm having a very hard time, but I'm not. Cool. So the benchmark across all industries, so obviously it could be different for you, and you'll learn this as you start tracking, is that it costs 3 times as much to acquire a new customer as it does to retain and upsell to an existing customer. So my advice when I dig into the businesses that I'm supporting, in our membership is, what are you doing with those customers who you have the opportunity not only to keep supporting by offering more products, but also to build into loyal advocates who then will be referring your business for you to more people like them, right? If you've sold to one person, it's very in your target ideal customer profile, it's likely that their network is also people in your ideal customer profile. So there's kind of a double whammy when you have a retention focus as well as acquisition. More sales, cheaper sales, actually a triple whammy, and then also those referrals. So when it comes to maximizing sales, I would always look at both of those components. And then on the first thing, in terms of just more marketing and sales, again, this really comes down to tracking. Future Females, I'm actually obsessed with tracking. We track every post we do. We track every single link. I know exactly the journey a member who signs up has been on with us. If they've come through our TikTok and then Instagram and maybe downloaded an ebook 4 years ago, we have all of this tracked. We use Google Analytics, and then we use our email system, ConvertKit. So it's a simple setup, but it's definitely worth doing because those historicals are so valuable. What this means I can do, and every single morning what my team and I do, is look at where are people coming from and what's working and what's not. For example, a lot of us are on social media, right? You're probably on Instagram. Let me know if you're on TikTok. Maybe just put a yes. Put TikTok in the chat if you are. What we realized is that our TikTok audience has been growing quite nicely. I think we're on around 18,000 followers. And our Instagram is also growing, but TikTok's growing more quickly. However, we are getting much more consistent daily traffic and visitors and signups from Instagram. TikTok is getting us a little bit of traffic, but not really. We're getting good views on our videos, but very few people are actually coming and joining Future Females as a member and signing up to our platform. And we have done some comment in the chat just to validate and looking at our audience. Are they of the right profile? And they are, but it's just not converting to sales. Maybe it is for you and for some industries, but I had a conversation this morning with a social media expert, and particularly in TikTok. And what was really interesting that he said to me was, TikTok is a really good channel to get traffic to Instagram. Instagram is a good channel to drive sales now, and particularly through your DMs. And so this was something that we hadn't considered. We were just day after day, like, how do we do more TikToks? And even just getting to the point where we were like, is it worth still building TikTok if we're never getting traffic? But his advice was exactly what I just said. In your TikTok captions, cross promote to Instagram. Say like, DM me on Instagram to get my free ebook or whatever it is you can offer. Get people following you on Instagram as well, where there's a lot more conversation. Send them the ebook in your DMs and then pick up that sales conversation. So I share that with you because it's not just about more marketing, right? It's about connecting the dots of your marketing mix and strategy in a really deliberate way. So, and that can only come through you if you're tracking, right? Every single day. Well, you could do it weekly. I'm obsessive enough to do it daily. Charlene saying, I find that with TikTok, people are more interested in your story than when you advertise a product to sell. Absolutely. They're looking for entertainment. They're also looking for value. Whereas Instagram is much more accepted as a sales channel and as a lead generation channel as well. So I think that's where the two working hand in hand is a really nice approach. Okay, cool. So we've covered product mix and really interrogating your offer, your suite of products. Do you have low ticket enough products for people to come in on? Do you have high ticket enough ones to boost that profitability? And then we spoke about pricing within that mix as well. Then we just spoke about increasing revenue, both through more acquisition and also making sure you at least once a week think about retention. The fourth bucket when it comes to maximizing profitability, and that we look at as well in this profit meeting every month with my co-founder, is obviously reducing expenses. And so I'll tell you the process we go through in case you don't have one. We have an accountant and they deliver to us, as you would expect every month, our income statement, our balance sheet, and the insights that come from that. I then take all of our bank statements. We're an American company. We also have a South African company. We also have a nonprofit. I take all of those, put them into a spreadsheet myself, and I go through and map like what is being used, what's revenue generating, and what's not. And is there anything that just didn't need to be used, and then categorize it. My co-founder and I then go through and obviously sense check all the buckets, but particularly the non-revenue generating buckets, and just revalidate, do we really need this? Do we have, the obvious ones are like tech subscriptions you're no longer using, but even maybe you have some outsourced freelancers on retainer, and maybe they're writing blogs that are no longer driving sales, where either you need to connect the dots strategically, and this interrogation highlights that gap for you, We have a stream at Future Females called Close the Gaps, where we literally do this as a team each month. Or secondly, is it just not needed? For example, I'm talking about blogs and copywriting. That's just not necessarily a skill that's needed so much in a business anymore, because it can be replaced with ChatGPT and someone who can just tweak it into your own language, add your experiences in, and then publish. So copywriting becomes much less of a creative need and more of a process and operations need. So that's how we look at our expenses, literally line by line, and then interrogate each of those buckets to see if there are opportunities to save costs. And particularly, like I said, looking at closing the gaps, but then automations. I'm very excited to do a CEO Diaries on ChatGPT. I'm trying to not get carried away now with all the ways we use it. Cool. I think the last thing I would say on reducing costs is why we bucket it into revenue generating and non-revenue generating is because there's always a catch-22. If your business is starting to reduce in terms of profit, it's a natural instinct to go, okay, well, let's cut costs. Let's really strip back. But you don't want to cut costs, particularly let's say it's a person who has legacy with your business, who you've spent time and energy upskilling. You don't want to lose that person if they can help you build your business forwards. It might actually be spending more time with that person in a revenue generating role to double down. So I'm always just careful of like which expense you're cutting and making sure it's not going to impact your revenue line item as well. Always starting with kind of the other buckets, if I can just call them that. Okay, so it's actually really nice just to chat this through with all of you, because I'm doing this now for last month. I've been focused on it for the last week. Do you guys have any questions or any reflections from your side? Please do let me know. Just pop them into the chat of whichever platform you're on now. Super happy to address them for you. I can see a question here from Anandi. How do you cost your expertise and experience? Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm trying to understand the context of it a little bit. I think there's two ways I want to answer this. The first one's probably not what you mean, but I'll do that anyway. So firstly, as a founder, even if you're the only person in your business, it's important to cost your own time into your budget. Because ultimately, even if you're not earning right now the salary that you want to, you need to be working towards the place where you are, right? I can see Charlene saying, and your time, exactly. Make sure that you are really being honest with yourself about how you're costing your time. And what we look at is a few thresholds, like what do I need to live on is the first point that you want to get your business to. What then gives me the lifestyle that I desire? And the third goal is what gives me complete financial freedom. So these are the checkpoints that on a personal level I'm working towards, and I almost scenario model as I'm looking at how my business is performing. So making sure you are costing your time in. And then secondly, I think what we're talking more about is pricing here. And so when it comes to pricing, there's two approaches, right? One is top down. That's looking at typically what are competitors charging in the market for comparative offers, and am I going to position myself as a premium product compared to them or as a more budget? And then the bottom up, which is, will I make profit if I deliver this? Like, how much is it actually going to cost me to deliver what I say I'm going to? And that's where your time comes in. So what I normally do when I'm thinking of expertise is more of the top down. If I look at other people with memberships like Future Females, have they been around for 5 years? Do they have chapters in 56 cities? Do they have all of this additional value that we've built into the community? And exposure to me, for example, in my courses. Do these people have relevant, equitable experience or not? And kind of pricing based on that. Not sure if that 100% answers it for you, but that's how I think about it. So time more on the bottom up, expertise and experience more on the top down. Okay, cool. Martin, love this question. Do I do something like this about ChatGPT? I'm going to massively spoiler what's happening at Future Females in 11 days. As I think you guys know, if you're a member of Future Females, which you can join through the caption in any of our social platforms, every month we release a new course to you. These are actionable training courses that will help you grow your business. And on the 1st of May, we are releasing one about the future of AI. We've partnered with one of the leading future strategists, John Sane, who is talking about how humans should prepare for the future of AI, and specifically talking about ChatGPT. And we have an entire course we've built on how to use ChatGPT to boost your marketing, boost your sales, and boost your your productivity. And we're going to be including that free when we release this course as well. So Martin, if that sounds interesting to you, and you are very welcome. I can see you are obviously a man, but we're open to everyone that supports female founders. All you need to do is join the platform, and you'll get that all sent over to you free on the 1st if you're a paying member. So hopefully that answers it for you. Cool. I'm going to take one more question from Alicia. I'm a nonprofit. I've been struggling to motivate expansions to my board. Your question just disappeared for me. If we don't expand, it will impact our revenue line item. Our product is quality healthcare. The training sector is non-profitable. It eventually leads to the profits we need to survive. Okay, I'm going to pop this. Let me just make myself a little smaller so you see me above the question. So Alicia, I also actually run a nonprofit. It's called Future Females Empowerment Initiatives, which is a grant-based organization that supports female entrepreneurs access training and education and funding, particularly in emerging markets. So just sharing that so you know my context as I answer this question from you. It's a constant struggle, particularly in nonprofits, to fund operations, because if you're grant-based, often the grant maker who provides the money won't allow you to use the money for anything other than the specific outcome you've guaranteed them. So I understand where you're at. What we have done is bring in board members who are really aligned to the purpose as opposed to needing financial support. And then secondly, we have brought in BD people who are outcome-based, so there's no risk for us. So these are people who, when we win a grant, then they get their commission paid out as opposed to being on a retainer. We can go a lot more into that. There's a lot, obviously, we can chat about from an NGO perspective, but that's my initial steer and how we've maximized profitability in our nonprofit, or I guess at least just not put ourselves at additional expense and risk. Perfect. Just checking if there are any more questions. Otherwise, I think I've answered them, and we are almost at time for CEO Diaries. Thank you all for joining and also for sharing. It's been awesome. Perfect. Okay, so the last thing, of course, is to award our prize. As you guys know, we have a prize every CEO Diaries, and this is given to someone who asked a question or shared from their experience or just generally interacted. And the prize is access to our Level Up Launch Library, which is a training that includes everything from building on Instagram, on LinkedIn, working successfully with partners. It also includes access to our launch Trello board that takes you through step by step everything that needs to happen launching your offering, whether it's for the first time or later in your business. So today I am going to award this to Alicia, because I really loved your question, and thank you. And I'll also do a session on this, I think actually from the context of our NGO in the coming weeks as well, because I know we have quite a few people in our community building, not necessarily NGOs, but social enterprises in any case that are very much purpose as well as profit-led. So thank you. Please DM us your email address on any platform, and we'll be able to get that prize right over to you. On the topic of maximizing for purpose and profit, for those of you who do want to learn more, Our recent course that we launched for our members inside our platform was actually in partnership with an amazing lady called Nwabisa Mayema. She is director of the Branson, so Richard Branson Center for Entrepreneurship. And she is literally coaching how they build their businesses with both purpose and profit at the forefront. So if that's something you're looking at how to integrate more through all functions of your business, then jump into the platform and jump into that course. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining and for the conversation. CEO Diaries will not be on next week. We are working with an incredible woman who has built her TikTok to over 3 million followers and is going to be sharing her strategies with me. And then I will be sharing them with you through her course. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Same time, same places. I look forward to it. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.